Lally-ho, ladies, gentlemen, and Misk. It's your boy Evil Pikachu, looking fly as fuck in my new sunglasses. If you're not familiar with this area, this is the Wolves' Den. This is the PvP hub for Final Fantasy XIV, and I hate it. I hate it with the burning passion of 1,000 suns. I hate PvP with every fibre of my being and everyone in it. And let me explain why. At the moment there's an event going on, the Garo crossover event. Now, I don't really know what Garo is. We don't really get that in the West. As I see it, it's basically wolf-themed Power Rangers or some bullshit. And it's the dumbest event I've ever seen. The 3 mounts you can get are ridiculously cool. I want them all. But you can only get them through feckin' PvP. You know, the thing that a fucking huge portion of the player base just doesn't bother with. Now, there's a reason for this. With Final Fantasy XIV being an MMO, it kind of attracts a different crowd than the likes of Call of Duty and stuff. Like, most of us are here to go on adventures. We want to go on quests and be involved in the story. PvP, essentially, Final Fantasy attracts introverts. PvP attracts extroverts. There's not a lot of crossover appeal. Right? We're very different kinds of people. So, I'm not saying there's no place for it in Final Fantasy XIV. It's okay. It functions for the most part, except for some glaring issues I'll get into in a moment. But it's just, for those of us that have been here for thousands of hours, I mean, I typed in my playtime a little while ago, 44 days, 12 hours, 9 minutes, God knows what that actually equates to in real time. I don't do math. But enough. You know? It's like, we've been introverts the whole time, and all of a sudden we're kind of forced into doing PvP for this absurdly rare set of mounts. This is the first time this event has occurred in like 5 years. It's like, if we don't do it now, we ain't bloody getting them. It's that simple. You know, and why would you not want these mounts, which are basically metallic armored Pegasus things? They look fucking awesome. Everybody wants them. They're a mark of considerable status. But you can only get it by doing something that you didn't come here for. And it's bad enough if, like me, you've never really... But I tried PvP out when I first unlocked it, decided it wasn't for me, and got back to the main game. So when I came here, I didn't have any wolf marks, the points you get for playing. And in order to even start the quest for the mounts, you've got to talk to this chick here, the disreputable priest. Make of that what you will. Like, in the real world, disreputable priest means that they've been in the news for something we don't talk about. But, yeah, you've got to buy a complete armor set, plus a weapon to get a title. You'll notice my title has changed from my usual Bolt from the Black to Dan, which I don't like. And you have to have that title equipped and then win matches in the various PvP modes to get the achievements which you trade in for the mounts. I don't want the bloody armor set. I have no interest in the weapon. The Dragoon one is ugly as hell. Like, it's no match for my usual weapon anyway. I've got the Bladed Lance from Final Fantasy XIII. I don't like Final Fantasy XIII, but that's a cool lance. Why do my sunglasses disappear when I take my lance out? That's just stupid. Back on there. How can I be evil without douchebag sunglasses? Beggars belief. So, I had to first grind out hundreds of matches to buy a full armor set, and I will admit the armor set's okay for Dragoon, but the weapon's ugly. To get a title that I don't want, to equip that, to start grinding wins in a utterly busted PvP mode that I don't particularly enjoy, to get mounts. And it's like, there was no other way? Really? You couldn't have done this any way better, and the reason it's such a drag is because PvP is so close to being fun, but then just completely shits the bed at the last moment. That's what pains me so much about this, is that it is so close to being fun. Crystalline Conflict, the new mode introduced in 6.1, first, if people actually played the objective, which they don't, because, again, extroverts are essentially morons. No offense to all you extroverts out there, but you're all too busy running around trying to be glory hogs and going, look, I got 20 kills, but none of you are pushing the fecking crystal, which is the only real objective that matters. The amount of times I've seen whole teams just charge off and chase down enemies, no one's pushing the crystal, just leaving me to do all the actual work, which leaves me wide open to a counterattack. That's a problem. And the second problem is that I don't know what the hell happened, but they seem to have pretty much forgot to balance Dragoon against the rest of the classes, because it is massively underpowered right now. Yeah, we have a really cool limit break in Sky Shatter Dive. I will not deny that. If used correctly, you can get half a dozen kills just off that alone. However, first of all, it's a limit break. You have to charge it up, which takes quite some considerable time. You'll use it twice, maybe 3 times in a match if you're lucky. Secondly, our limit break does about 30,000 damage, which is about half your enemy's health gauge. Right? I've seen others that can do 50-odd thousand, if not more, and just instantly kill any target from practically any range. So it's not doing the damage it needs to. And the rest of Dragoon's moves are a huge problem for 2 main reasons. One, a lot of the other character classes have a means of stunning, or in other words, in some other way disabling or messing with an opponent. Like, some of the tanks can drag you out of position, which is a huge problem. Or you can be stunned, you can be poisoned or muted. There's a lot of different statuses. Dragoon can't inflict any at all. We have no status moves of any description. The one thing that's supposed to give us defense against it doesn't work properly. Yes, once you use Purify to cure one status effect, you're supposed to get about 5 seconds of immunity from it, but it never actually works like that. So all that happens is that the idiots spam the status moves, so I may as well just put the controller down because I'm constantly stunned. I can't do anything. I just got to sit there and take it like a bitch. For like 5 full seconds of stun, just sit there going, well, I'm not actually playing. That sound fun to you? Again, we don't have any of these moves. And the second problem is, because we don't have any of these moves, and because therefore our tactical options are incredibly limited, it's really easy to read what a Dragoon is about to do. Now you see on down here, I've got Elusive Jump. That changes to Whirlwind Thrust after it's used, which is a big laser of death. It's basically the only reason you'd ever use Elusive Jump, unless you're knee-deep in the shit, is to use Whirlwind Thrust. It's one of your best moves. If you use it at long range. If it's at close range, it's practically pointless. It's so underpowered, it beggars belief. So, as soon as you see a Dragoon use Elusive Jump, you know that the Whirlwind Thrust is coming, so you either close the distance with them, so that it does no damage, or you just duck behind cover and break line of sight. It means the move is bordering on useless. By the same token, as soon as we use Sky High to go off-screen and therefore untargetable, everybody knows that about 3 seconds later the limit break attack is coming. So they just immediately put up their shields, and instead of doing 30,000 damage, you do about 400. Meaning it's completely useless. Everything the Dragoon can do can be hard read by even the most bitch-ass basic players, and it means we're massively underpowered. So you've really got 2 choices here. Either give Dragoon some sort of status-inflicting move, or some sort of resistance to them at least, so that these status attacks aren't such a fucking one-sided affair, or you need to massively boost Dragoon's power output to make them kind of like Samurai is in the main game. Yeah, Samurai, Black Mage, there's always one selfish class in the DPS. that they don't really care about giving out buffs or anything like that. They're just raw damage dealers. That's what Dragoon could be, but we're just not doing enough damage. And because the recuperate move is so utterly spammable in this game, it means if you are not doing enough damage to get the kill, which is pretty much guaranteed given how weak Dragoon is, and bear in mind that's nothing to do with your equipment or anything like that, all stats are normalised by the computer on PvP. The fact that I'm level 90 is irrelevant. That only applies outside of PvP. Right? It basically means I'm never going to get kills. Even in a one-on-one situation where a DPS versus a healer, I should have a massive advantage. But all they do is just constantly spam their healing abilities, and I'm just fighting a battle of attrition I can never hope to win. And then you've got stuff like the Dark Knight tanking vuln, which just makes them unkillable for like 10 straight seconds, but doesn't do anything to stop them healing. So they just pop that and they can just stand there and there's nothing you can do about it, which if they're pushing the crystal, what do you expect me to do? That's 10 seconds of essentially wasted game time. That's bullshit. And there's nothing you can do to get around it, there's nothing you can do to stop it. You just gotta hope that they're too stupid to use it, which anyone who's playing PvP for an extended period of time to get these mounts is not going to be that thick. So, yeah, I mean, Dragoon is kind of busted right now. And it's such a shame, because it's a delight to play in the main game. I love Dragoon. They got all these flips and tricks we can do, and all these like ridiculous like special moves we've got, and they're surprisingly powerful in the base game at the minute. But like, we don't have battle litany for a start, so we can't buff our allies' critical rates or anything like that. We have no status inflicting capabilities, we can't pull enemies out of position, we can't do anything. Just pokey stick, go poke. And again, that's pretty bloody easy to understand and counter. And in a game where you're supposed to be free to express who you are and, you know, play the game your way, essentially, the fact that it's essentially impossible to make any significant progress in PvP as a Dragoon is just massively unfair. It just feels like we're being singled out, you know, like, oh, is that your playstyle? Well, that's not the current meta, so go fuck yourself. Like, how's that fair? I always get that, you know, there's going to be balancing issues in any sort of online game, but this is just stupid. And it's honestly just getting annoying. I mean, to be honest, I would take the Garrow mounts appearing in the cash shop at this point over PvP. It is so bloody obnoxious playing PvP. So it's like I almost don't want to continue with it. And then you go into the series milestones, and there's basically sod all in here in terms of prizes. It's hardly worth doing. I only did it for the sunglasses. You know, I'm glad I got the sunglasses. They're pretty cool sunglasses, but the rest of this is just garbage, fluff, and filler. You know? Alright, the Archfiend armor is apparently pretty cool, but you could have just given us like a small amount of these crystals per game played, the same way you do with wolf marks, and then filled this with actual prizes that were worth a toss. You know? Or like, how about putting the Garrow marks right down here at like level 30 or something, so it'll still take an age to unlock, but at least you'll slowly get there regardless. Because they're locked to achievements, only wins count. So if I'm constantly getting defeated because I choose to play as a Dragoon, what do you expect me to do? I've got 5 wins. I need 30 just to get the first one. You've got to triumph in frontline 10 times, which is, as far as I can tell, bloody impossible. You can't do rival wings at the minute, so that's stupid. And then I've got to get another 30 for the last one. So I've basically got to get 60 wins. I'm like not even 10% of the way there. And then play a totally different mode, which is like half an hour of running around a big empty field and then just getting insta-killed out of nowhere. Yeah? It's just... it's not fun. I'm not having fun And in a video game where I'm paying you every month to play the damn thing, that's kind of a problem. Now, thankfully, this is only PvP, and again, it is only the mounts. Yeah, they're great mounts, but it's not like they're absolutely essential to leading a happy and fulfilling life, but it's like I have to accept that in, like, seasons of, like, what do they call it, the feast, I'm never going to be top 10%. I'm not going to get the rare mount drops for that. But it's like, because this event is so rare, I want to get it out the bloody way. You know? It's just, this isn't even remotely fun right now. And of course, if you wanted the Magitech Avenger mounts, you're shit out of luck, because Rival Wings is locked off at the minute because PvP is going through a rework. So, that's physically impossible to get right now, as far as I can tell. So, yeah, I'm not pleased. I really hope that Square Enix gets its act together and finishes fixing PvP, because it is a damn sight better than it used to be. But it's clear that this is still very much a work in progress, and there's a lot left to do. So, here's hoping, but on the other hand, they did just sell off a huge chunk of their business so they can go into blockchain gaming, despite the fact that literally every player on Earth fucking hates them for it. Like, take the hint, boys, it's not working, okay? Give up on the blockchain, give up on this metaverse nonsense, and just make a fucking game already. You know? It worked for you in the 90s and early 2000s. You know? Like in Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, and 10, you know, the golden era. What happened to just make a product, sell a product, we all enjoy the product, and then we buy the next one? That's not enough for some of y'all. Well, that's your problem, not mine. So, honestly, my faith in Square Enix fixing this is a little bit dubious. Because, well, the thing about a PvP mode being broken is that the idiots who will always abuse the most busted-ass strategies, like, well, for example, Dark Knight players who can just choose not to die, of course they're going to flock to this and spend money and feel good, and that puts money in Square Enix's coffers, and it's just... It just feels like Final Fantasy XIV hasn't fallen to the dark side yet, but it's like, keep an eye on this shit, you know? Anyway, I'm going to do something literally anything other than PvP, because if I play any more of this, I'm going to kill someone. And I don't mean in the game. I mean as in I will literally just throw the PS4 out the window, and whoever's delivering this morning's mail is going to get the shock of a lifetime. So, yeah, that's it from Evil Pikachu for a little while. Because, seriously, fuck this event.